do what scares you. You know, if you look at something and go, I could never do that. That's too big. That's too scary. It's too, risky or whatever. Obviously, make sure you're safe. Have your backup plans. Have your plans B, C, and D. But do the thing that scares you because that's going to be the thing that rewards you most.
Hi, I'm Jess, and I interviewed some of my colleagues this summer here while we study abroad in Florence. I'd like to showcase other artists that are different ages, different backgrounds, and different majors, just so you can see there's a variety. Okay, enough of this intro, let's get started.
Hey everyone, I'm Jess Bolt. I'm here in Florence, Italy with the Academy of Art San Francisco and Graphics Teresa Art School. And so I just have my colleague here and I want her to introduce her and I have some questions. So yeah, would you mind introducing yourself and yeah, just tell us a little bit about your journey.
Hi, Internet World. I'm Kyra Irvin. I am a visual development artist coming into my third year for visual development. And yeah, this is my first time doing their study abroad program.
Amazing. And where are you from?
I'm from Montana, but I'm currently living in San Francisco.
Very cool. Okay, well, can you share any challenges or obstacles that you have faced in your artistic journey and how did you overcome them?
I would say picking a path was one of the big ones. I started out in animation because it was the first time I got into anime kind of later. And then I was like, oh, there's actually stuff that kind of looks how I draw. And I was always surrounded by people who did cowboy paintings and that sort of thing. So I connected to it. And then I got into animation and was overwhelmed by the workload, even though I loved it a lot. It's very satisfying, but it's a lot to do. And I wasn't really exactly what I wanted. I wanted to create characters, and so then I went home. I had a few career path tryouts, so I started to get into like forensics. I started to get into competitive equestrian sports, which I was raised in, so I've done that for a long time. But I got a really bad injury a couple years ago and couldn't do my horses for a while. I couldn't train, and I was like, okay, if I'm going to be laid up, I might as well use the time productively and go to school. So I went back to school, and I actually found Academy of Art for voice acting. I was looking for voice acting stuff, and I came to Academy of Art, and I was talking to them, and they're like, you actually, from what you're describing, you sound like you'd go really well with biz dev. And so yeah, I got into visual development, and it's been like perfect.
Nice.
It's been the one thing that like really has clicked more than anything else. So
Oh, I'm happy with that.
yeah.
Okay, well, how does your personal background or identity influence your artistic journey?
I'm a Christian. I come from Montana, which is kind of just backwoods, quiet country life. I grew up though really loving things like Lord of the Rings and big epic fantasies and stuff. And I'd say artistically, that's very much where I love storytelling. I love anything fictional. I love books. I love movies. I love animations, TV shows, everything like that. So I definitely have like fallen in love with the artistic side of that, and I want to tell stories with my art. So that's where my connection comes from.
Love that. Now, have there any artists or artistic movements that have had a significant influence on your work?
The entire crew who made Lord of the Rings definitely did. Artists by name John Howe and Ellen Lee were the visual development artists for Lord of the Rings. So like that was when I first discovered, oh, there's an actual job for coming up with character designs. Aside from that, there's some different ones I've encountered online. I don't remember all of their names, but like branching into Instagram, branching into like Pinterest and stuff, I discovered just a lot of amazing fantasy artwork and sci-fi and all these other genres too.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, now that we're in Italy, how do you think studying abroad will contribute to your artistic growth and career as an artist?
It's a good question. I feel like being exposed to actually ancient architecture is really nice. I mean, being able to walk down these towns and villages that are cobblestones and old buildings made of stone and fortified, walls and everything, and getting to walk through them and getting to see how the perspective changes and all that sort of thing. I can't do that in the U.S. So that's been really neat, and just exploring, like it's it's good for the brain. It broadens your horizons.
I agree. So what have you learned about yourself as an artist through this study abroad experience, and has it helped you discover new interests or strengths in your artistic practice?
What have I learned of myself as an artist? I mean, it's kind of just building on what I've already been discovering this past year of being at this college, that I really love visual development, that I love the people who go into illustration and visual development, that we all have the same brainwave, you know. I do feel like it's been just good for like my social circle of growing that, and artistically that kind of just, I don't know, it helps spark ideas when you're surrounded by other creative people. So
I agree, yeah, for sure. Well, what role do you think art plays in society, and how do you hope your artwork will contribute to the broader artistic landscape?
I feel like art teaches people how to be in society to a certain extent. Art is kind of historically been our go-to for what we look to as an influence, right, visually and just subculturally. Yeah. And I do feel like what I personally want to get into is storytelling, which has a huge influence on how people grow. If you have any interest in, if you've ever seen a movie in your life and been affected by it, if you've ever, you know, had any interest in a book and it's made you think about who you want to be as a person. I know that's happened to me a lot, where it's like I sculpted who I wanted to be as a person based off of the characters I looked up to in fiction. So if I can be creating those characters, if I can be helping with that process of making these stories, and even if they're fictional stories, we learn from them. So I think that's where I want to make my impact.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Well, is there any last bit that you'd like to share with us that I didn't ask, or anything last minute?
Yeah, I'd say if I was to give like advice to anybody getting into the art world, or just in general, life advice, is do what scares you. You know, if you look at something and go, I could never do that. That's too big. That's too scary. It's too, you know, risky or whatever. Obviously, make sure you're safe. Have your backup plans. Have your plans B, C, and D. But do the thing that scares you, because that's going to be the thing that rewards you most.
That's good. That's so good. Okay, well, we are going to be wrapping this up, but keep watching. There'll be some more interviews coming, and then at the end of the summer, we'll do like a recap of like revisiting some of these questions, see if they change. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Bye.